Mr. Chairman, thank you. I did run to the Senate floor and back, not the House one. They don't welcome me as much there.
Well, sometimes we want to give you back.
Y'all, thank you. I think I am batting cleanup today.
Yes, you are.
To be able to ask some questions. So let me just say first, thank you for all the time that you put into the testimony and in your preparation on this. I just want to be able to try to get some clarifying questions. There's a, when we talk about the United States and our own mineral development here, and we look at other countries, whether it be in Asia or in Africa or in South America and other places, is there anything distinctly different about our geology that we shouldn't be able to go after some of the minerals that are here? In other words, we know there's the presence of some of the minerals here, but is there something unique about our geology that would say China has that mineral, we have that mineral, but really China should develop that mineral, not us? Or South America has a mineral, we have it, or Australia has it and we have it. I know geology is different. It's not always the same. It's not always the same depth. It's not always the same economical use. But is there something about our geology that we would say we should actually, if the mineral's here and there, we should just get it there instead of here? Anyone want to comment on that?
I'll comment, Senator Lankford. Thank you. The geology is what it is, and the minerals are where we find them. But the United States is a vast land that is blessed with a great mineral endowment. And because of that, I do think it's important for us to continue to explore for every kind of mineral. And the one thing I can tell you in our industry is the technology is always advancing, and the ability to find things that are covered, to find mineral deposits that we couldn't have found before is always evolving. And so to me, the answer is this book isn't written yet.
Right. Ms. Sweeney.
I agree completely. I was last week talking to the Association of American State Geologists, and I asked them, what do you say if people say, do we have all these minerals here? And the geologist from Utah said, well, gosh, we have 28 of the 35 critical minerals in Utah right now, and thanks to U.S. Geological Survey and some of the funds that they've made available to the states, the geologists are now going out and doing more mapping than they have done in decades. And they are excited and enthusiastic, and they're finding rare earths. There's a cobalt belt in Missouri. I mean, these are things I just was not aware of, and it's really impressive what we can do when we put our money and mind to it.
Ms. Sweeney, you mentioned in your testimony that permitting for a mine can take 7 to 10 years. Am I reading that correctly?
If you're lucky, if it's a major mine, yes.
So here's what's interesting. Obviously, if you go to Canada or if you go to multiple other countries, Australia, it doesn't take 7 to 10 years to do the permitting on that. No. What does it take in other places?
2 to 3 years in countries with very similar environmental standards and environmental processes.
So when you talk about the 7 to 10 years on permitting, is that for the permitting not including the lawsuits, or does that include the lawsuit time?
That generally does not include the lawsuits.
Okay, so this is the interesting thing. When I've talked to several folks that are going after rare earth minerals in different parts of the country, they would say, yes, I know where they are. Yes, I know the permitting process. But the unpredictable wild card about this are the lawsuits that can come in, that they just trickle in one after another, that even after I have the permit or I'm nearing the permit closure, it is still unpredictable. So their statement is, I'm not going to invest millions of dollars in capital to go do all that has to be done just to have it drug out for 20 years and my capital dry up and a whole series of lawsuits on it. Is that right or wrong? How common is that?
It's fairly common, unfortunately. And not every mine is challenged, but I don't even know what the percentage would be, but I'm certainly anecdotally familiar with quite a few.
So obviously we want the outside community to be able to have a voice into this, and litigation's been a way to do that. What's a way to be able to solve this? Because that's not true on building highways. That's not true on building other things. That's not true. There are other solutions to be able to try to figure out how do we get everyone a voice. What's a solution to this? And that's open to anybody. Mr. Wood.
I'd love to answer that. Thank you for the question, sir. I mean, it was mentioned earlier that you can stop mining at the land use plan. If that were allowed actually under law, it would be a perfect solution, because you could do things like identify municipal watersheds or sacred sites that shouldn't be subject to mining for the life of the plan. I think that would be a very logical fix to make that would be consistent with other uses of public lands.
Right. But you've also got a situation where a neighbor that's 5 miles away says, if you start mining there, there's going to be dust coming in my house, and I'm going to have to dust my house 5 times a day, and I don't want to have that. So I'm going to sue you, though they're not geographically right next to you. They have that opportunity to be able to do that. How do you solve that?
That's how you do it.
I am with you 100%,
Silence.
trying to be able to figure out how to be able to do this. Well, I would tell you that's an issue that we do need to figure out a way to resolve, because that's a long-term issue that if we don't find a way to be able to solve how to get predictability in the process of permitting, to shrink the length of time on permitting, to get predictability in the environmental processing, and to be able to get predictability in how long people can drag out a challenge to this, then we can talk about it all we want to here, but people aren't going to actually invest the capital to actually do it. And it'll just get held up over and over and over again. And we can talk about how we want to get more electric vehicles, and we have the lithium here, we just can't go after it, or whatever it may be. Cobalt in Missouri, we're still going to have the same issues. So, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate you allowing me to slip in my last question running back and forth from the floor, and I appreciate your time.
You're always most welcome. Thank you, Senator.